One of the biggest headaches for a bicycle wheel builder is keeping a spoke inventory. This pile of spokes is what I've whittled mine down to. I had substantially more than this on hand. The problem is that every time you do another build, you require a different length of spoke. So if you don't have the size on hand you need, you end up ordering them in. And they come in boxes of 100, so if you need 36 spokes for a wheel, you wind up with most of a box that you're not going to use. And not to mention that you're going to pay shipping for those spokes that you've ordered in, and then you end up with partial boxes all over the place. So over the last couple of years, I've started whittling the pile down by custom cutting the spokes as I need them. Making shorter spokes out of longer ones. And the tool I've been using to do that is a Hosan spoke threader. Now, this is a great little tool, but they don't even promote it as a production tool. Really what it's meant for is custom cutting a spoke or two when you need a replacement here or there. But I have used it for a fairly large number of entire wheel sets. But it's very labor intensive. Number one, you have to measure and mark each spoke, cut it, dress the ends on a grinder, and then hand thread it. So it takes a great deal of time to do a whole wheel's worth of spokes. Plus the dies are not really made to endure over a long period of time. So you end up replacing the die rollers fairly frequently when you use it to do the kind of quantity of spokes. So I decided to start shopping around for a professional shop grade spoke threader, and I started comparing options. Now the three most common or popular shop grade spoke threaders would be the Phil Wood, and current pricing on that is about $3,600. The Phil Wood is really the standard of the industry. That's the one that you're going to find in most pro shops, at least in North America. Second one is the Cyclist machine, and that one I could have got for $3,200. Couldn't find out a lot about it, even from the distributor. When I asked if it was switchable between 14 and 15 gauge, I didn't really get a clear answer on that. I'm sure that it's high quality. Any of the other Cyclist stuff that I have is certainly not a compromise in quality. But just the information I got on it was kind of vague, so I passed on that one. The third one is the Morizumi machine. That one's also $3,200. Made in Japan, very high quality. All of the reviews that I could find on it were excellent. Anybody that used it compared it to the Phil Wood. It is switchable between 14 and 15 gauge without any disassembly. Just loosen a knob and flick a switch and it switches. And it also will do 12 and 13 gauge by swapping out for another set of dies. And it was also very well promoted by the vendor, North American vendor, Rick Yurtberg at Wheel Fanatic. So he convinced me to go ahead and order up the Morizumi, so that's what I've got. So here it is, all set up. And I'd also have to give credit to Mr. Yurtberg for this idea. Mounting it on a IKEA butcher block table. Very suitable for the job, a good size, very sturdy. And there was also room to mount my park truing stand on it as well. And they don't interfere with each other at all. So just a quick little demo of how it works here. I have here a 274mm spoke. And the particular build that I'm doing requires a 262mm. And I don't have any 262s in stock, but I've got lots of longer ones. So first we set up the cutter by adjusting the size. Now we go to 262mm. And then we're going to do a test cut on one spoke and test measure it, just to be sure that we've got the height gauge set properly, because it is fine tunable. So anyway, we hang that on the arm there, and then a quick motion of the cutter, nice smooth cut, and we'll just verify the length to make sure we've got the tower set exactly right. And there we are at 262 exactly. Now we're going to run it through the threading dies. Simply a matter of inserting it. Make sure it's tight against the end stop. Let the spring-loaded lever hold it in place and guide it. And we pull the threading lever down. We'll go for the threading lever, not the cutting lever. And we'll just guide the spoke as it comes out. And there it is, beautifully threaded. Take a look at it with a magnifying glass. Very nice looking thread. You know, we'll test fit a nipple on there. Threads in very nicely and smoothly by hand. Sticks through just the right amount. There's no play at all that you can detect. So the thread is very well rolled, ready to roll up the rest of the batch. Okay, we'll just take a little close-up shot of the machine here. Give you a bit of an appreciation for how well made this thing is. Very high precision machining in all the parts. It's the movable die. This is the cutter. The die is, the holder is round, so it has 360-degree support. So there's very little deformation of the spoke when it's cut. There's a guide tube there that guides the cuttings down below. Capture them in a jar. Switching between 14 and 15 gauge is very simple. Just a matter of loosening this knob off, flicking that switch, tighten the knob. That just shifts the fixed die in just a very small amount. Back to 14 gauge. Tighten it down. Very slick.